Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So as predicted, inventory is continuing to drop. Sales have definitely slowed down, but I do think that's due to there being nothing to buy. So let's dive into what happened last week. So in Georgetown last week, we had 12 properties sell, which is still a super strong number for December. It's down from the 20 plus we had last week, but 12 is still a really good number. Of those 12, 6 of them sold over asking. So again, the bidding wars are continuing. And of the 12, 6 of them were over $1 million. So I've been talking about that price point, which still continues to surprise me. We are still seeing a lot of demand above $1 million. So half of the properties that sold last week being above $1 million support that. So in terms of new listings this week, some good news is we had 12 new properties hit the market. So it's not a ton, but it's even with our sales. So that means we shouldn't see a massive drop in overall inventory. It would be nice to see a week where our sales don't outpace our listings and we can get a little bit of inventory relief. In Acton this week, we only had 1 property sell, but good news there is that we had 5 new listings. Acton has really been struggling and we have seen really low inventory numbers, so 5 new listings there is a really good thing. In Glen Williams this week, we had 1 sale and no new listings. In Limehouse, we had no sales and no new listings. In the rural market, so I've been talking about how I wanted to watch there because we are seeing such low inventory in town that usually we see a spike in rural. So we did have 4 properties sell last week in the rural market, which is a big-ish number for there. So I definitely am not surprised to see a little bit more movement there. We had a slow November in rural, so to see a couple of those properties moving is good news for rural sellers. In terms of new listings, we had 3 new properties enter the rural market. This is the first week in a while that we have seen our sales outpace our new listings in the rural market. So I do think, again, because town is lacking in quality inventory, people are going to be looking out in the rural markets. So now looking at active inventory. Last week we had an all-time low of 74 active listings, and this week we have 71 active listings. At one point last week I looked and we were under 70 active listings in all of Halton Hills. We're sitting at 71. 8 of them are in sold conditional status. So that really is not leaving a lot available for people to choose from. In Georgetown, we have 34 properties, so inventory stayed the same, but 34 is still a super low number. So not great news, but it didn't dip anymore this week, so I guess that's a silver lining. In terms of our price points, we saw some major shifts though. Under 700 stayed the same at 5 active listings. Where we saw a huge jump was 7 to 800,000 went up to 7 active listings. They will likely all be gone next week, but for this week, that number was a big jump up to 7 active listings in that price point. Where we definitely are hurting right now is 800,000 to $1 million. There are technically 8 active listings, which is down from last week, but something to note, of those 8, 6 of them are a new build project. So we technically in Georgetown only have 2 freehold resale properties available between 800 and $1 million. That is so low. It's definitely the lowest number that we've seen, and I mean, no surprise, anything that's coming up there is getting a crazy amount of interest and a crazy amount of offers. So if you have something between 800 and $1 million, definitely get that on the market. And then the other price point, the $1 million plus price point, inventory in $1 million plus was sitting around 25 to 30 active listings. And as I've been talking about, it has been so busy and we are down to 14 active listings above $1 million. So that's a wide range in terms of price, $1 million plus, and there's just not a lot available. And we see more and more every week selling. So again, that's a number I'm watching closely because it still blows my mind. In Acton this week, inventory is up to 11 active listings. So that's good news. It's still a low number for Acton, but we were at like 7 and 8. So that is good that there is some inventory available and there is some under 700,000. So if you're looking in that opening price point in Acton, there is some properties available right now. Glen Williams had the sale, but it also had some properties expire this week. So Glen Williams is down to only one active listing and it's over $2 million. So really not much available in Glen Williams. In Limehouse, inventory remained the same at 2 active listings, and in the rural market, inventory is down slightly to 23 active listings. This is a normal-ish number, so I anticipate we will continue to see higher than normal sales for what we would be used to seeing in the rural market because of what's happening in town. So we'll be watching that closely. So no huge surprises in terms of our numbers this week. Sales are still high for December and inventory is still insanely low. We are not going to see a lot of new properties entering the market here, and buyers are still out and competing, and it's crazy. I think it's safe to say that we are going to be in a pretty strong market for sellers for the next couple of months at least. We have so much demand. There is not enough listings coming up to satisfy the amount of buyers that we have. So I do think it's going to be a while before we feel any kind of cool down or shift. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here because the numbers I don't think are going to be great for December, and I don't think we're going to see any big changes in terms of inventory coming up, but it's going to be really interesting what happens in the new year. So that's it for this week. Continuing on the same trend we've been seeing the last weeks, I will be back next Tuesday to see what happens this week in Halton Hills. Have a great week, everyone.